Coach, good to have you with us. Thanks for giving us some time. It's nice to be sitting next to you after 2 years of doing everything on the screen. I know you had more than enough experience with that the last couple of years.
No doubt. I did a press conference the other day, and then after the major press conference, we went off to the side with
the scrums,
with the local media.
Yeah.
And I was like up against the wall, and everybody was like in
right
tight.
there.
And I was like, no, wait a second, this is a little too intimate for me. I'm not used to this.
Right.
Right? So it's good.
It's been this combine now. We're here now. This may be the last one in Indy for a while. They may start moving it around. But give us your thought on. I mean, you've been doing this for 5 years now. How important is it? You still see some things that are in person. We know some teams decide not to show. All they want to see is the numbers, but they still think the numbers are important.
Yeah. Everything matters, right? I mean, that's our philosophy. I mean, so, hey, some of it's only a 15-minute interview. You got to make the most of that interview. Do you want to overweight that piece? No, you don't want to overweight it. But is it one piece of, if there's 100 pieces to the puzzle, is that little piece right there that, hey, it's important, it helps clear up the picture? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
What about process, Coach? Because talking to some people here in the league, the pandemic made a lot of people reevaluate the way they've conventionally done things within the scope of their organization, whether it's what they do during the week, off-season planning, these kinds of things. Did you guys kind of do an internal audit during the pandemic saying, well, why do we do it that way?
Right.
No, now that you have to do it a different way because of the pandemic, were you kind of almost forced to think, maybe there's a better way to do that? Have you come up with some of those over the course of the last 2 years?
Absolutely. As I said, nothing can take the place of an in-person interview, but it's not like you can't get anything out of a Zoom interview. So, and you can do multiple Zoom interviews, and where normally it was all, hey, just that 15-minute interview. There was no Zoom meeting. Oh, you might make a phone call, but Zoom is, say, the next best thing to in-person. Here's one other example. Staff meetings, right? Usually during the season, right, you got a staff meeting every morning. All the coaches kind of get in a room and you kind of go through it. You know, now we just do it virtually, and it's better because, hey, they're short meetings. They're 10-minute meetings. Here's the medical report today. Here's the schedule for today. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's at their desk working. You're trying to get ready for the morning. So those are small ways that add up to things that you learn that can get better.
So things are always changing. We're getting back to a little bit more normalcy now with the pandemic lifting. You're a new member of the competition committee, and congratulations, because anybody who follows the league, one of the legendary committees is this the all competition committee. You talk about the rules, and when the competition committee says something, people want to hear what it is. To give us your insights, your new member, how's that gone, and what's surprising about it, or what's interesting about it?
Well, I'll tell you what. Just finished our third day of meetings. all-day meetings. It's been really eye-opening. You can feel the collective wisdom of the group, the experience. Like, okay, like I'm new on the committee, and there's one or two other coaches who are new, but there's a lot of committee members like
Rich
been
McKay.
doing it a minute.
Yeah. Rich McKay's been around the block a couple of times.
You listen to Rich McKay talking, like, okay, he's heard all these.
He
ones
knows
before.
where the hieroglyphics were made. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's kind of cool. But yet, as a coach, they do look to the coaches who are on the committee for very specific insight when, we put on the tape and you're talking about holding or you're talking about use of helmet. How do we want to officiate this? Hey, coaches, what do you think? And so now the coaches, we can collectively contribute in that way.
And then taking that a step further, we had Brandon Bean here on the show yesterday, and he was joking that he was talking to another GM at the Senior Bowl in January, and they're saying there's going to be 32 different proposals for overtime. Were there 32? How many were there?
Yeah, no, I think.
I don't need specific, but what's the number?
No, I think it was maybe 4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5
proposals for overtime, and we Colts, we made one, and
Bills made one too. They said.
Yes, the Bills made one. So I did see that. So again, I go back to trust the collective wisdom of the committee to bring to ownership. To the league meetings to vote, and then trust. The league meetings and all the owners and the clubs to do the right thing, to do what they think is best for the league. All the years of experience, an understanding of where the game's going, where we want it to go. The game's at all-time high in so many respects, and so just trust the collective wisdom on is this year to make any change or do we keep it status quo?
And the general consensus is if there is a change to overtime, it's probably for postseason only. Would you kind of be led to believe that probably be the way it goes if it does change?
Yeah. I think that is the way these things normally go, that's the conventional wisdom, right? Hey, walk before you run, do it in the postseason, see what the effect is there, because after this, especially after this last postseason, right? And the impact that it had right there.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Plus the 2 weekends or 8 games in a row at the end of the season were all walk-offs.
Right.
Right at the end, so they were all really close. We don't want those games to end. Actually, right?
And yeah, we went over those statistics, right? And it was really, I forget exactly off the top, 10-2 or something.
Right.
They were 10-2, favored in the playoffs and at the end of the year like that. So. Those are definitely things to consider.
Now, the league has always had a reputation in the past of kind of moving at a glacial pace, small, tiny changes in the rules and stuff. But then with player safety getting into it, with the revamp of the kickoff rules being gone into, they've started to, in certain instances, move faster and make more wide-reaching changes. What's your insight into why that is and why they're so willing to, unlike other sports we've seen, the NFL changes its rules, tweaks them every year?
Yeah, I think it's a good balance. I think it's a good balance in understanding that over a career, right, there's going to be times where you have to accelerate and you can go faster. Then there's other times on certain issues that you got to go slow. So I think what the league has done a good job of is recognizing the low-hanging fruit. And, what are the things that really could make a difference? What are the little rule changes that we can make? The replay assist this year, right?
Right.
I mean, that was a win. Who doesn't think that was a win?
And that, I think it was a win because it was unobtrusive. There were many times when
Didn't slow the game down.
When they fixed it and nobody even knew. And then when they started denouncing it, say, hey, we saw this, we're going to do this. And everybody's like, fine. And that was big.
It was huge, Steve. And then when you look at the statistics like I just saw, and again, I can't recite them off the top of my head about how well done it was, that was a big win.
Well, and more importantly, it took a burden off guys like you to throw the challenge flag because it was getting adjudicated upstairs.
And the officials did such a good job. I remember there was a game early on, and I knew right away the call wasn't right, and I was getting ready to throw my flag, and the official said, "Hey,
we're checking.
We're checking. You're going to be good. Don't throw your flag." And just hold it for another couple seconds. So, there's that 10-second window that hey, they could tell me, hey, just keep that in your pocket. So, officials did a great job with it.
There's a play coming. There's another part of potential rule changes is one that was near and dear to Steve's heart, the punt play, which we've seen the statistics in print. The injuries are still relatively high on that particular play because it is still very much a full-speed play. Kickoffs, as we know, with no wedge anymore and guys having to stand at the line instead of running up to it, that's become a safer play. What's been the dialogue there, and how much movement are you foreseeing on that?
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's player safety is a huge deal. And, kickoff return, punt return are two, the stats are just higher on those. So, really, this is about, meeting with everybody's in Players Association, the competition committee, everybody wants player safety. Mm-hmm. So this is, let's work together. Let's get player input. Let's get coaches input. Let's get officials input. Let's get doctors input. Let's get everybody to circle up here and say, put together our minds and our wisdom and experience and see, should we adjust? How do we adjust? What would that look like? And I think that's going to take everybody to come up with that solution.
The thing I was in the room when they did the kickoff revamp, and I think the willingness to keep those plays in the game, special team. I'm an old special teams guy. They want to keep the foot in the game. They want to keep punts as a part of the game. They want to keep kickoffs as a part of the game. They don't just want to go out and spot the ball and let's go. They want to give guys like that a chance to play and those plays to happen. How afraid or apprehensive are they if they make the punt play maybe very different?
Yeah. I mean, I think all those things are being talked about. I think one of the things I really appreciate about the league is that we don't want something to be gimmicky. We don't want it to feel. We want it to feel like we're playing football, like traditional football. So, not that you're not willing to take that chance and do something a little bit, offbeat, but let's look at every avenue to try to make it as least gimmickly, if I can say it that way, and as traditional as we can, with maybe just a few small adjustments.
Last one I've got for you, Frank, is there's a guy on your roster, Marlon Mack, who obviously had a very serious injury, missed a lot of time. I know he's a free agent, so there's some decisions for you guys to make there. But can you just give us an update on where he is at? Because, I mean, he was a productive guy for you when he was healthy, and I know the conversation's different now because you got an all-world player in Jonathan Taylor, and you have a pretty good guy behind him in terms of a pass-catching back too, so in Hines. So how do you kind of weigh that out? Because you knew what he was, and now he's healthy. So where does that go from here for him?
Very interesting discussion because, as you said, playing at a very high level, before he got injured, and then JT stepped onto the scene. So, we're for Marlon Mack. We'll see how everything plays out. But this guy, he's not done. He's not done with. He's got to have a 1,000-yard season again. I believe he can do that. I believe he will do that. I believe he's that talented. And I think, and then on top of it, he just deserves it. Like this guy, like he's a guy. He's like one of these guys you root for this guy. Mm-hmm. And so, he was a free, and he missed the window right there. So you want to see the best for him.
Now, last one I've got for you. I know the whole week you guys, you and Ballard, your general Chris Ballard, have been answering questions about Carson Wentz and going forward, and the economics of it, and the humanity of it, and the production of it, and you got a lot of decisions to make on that you're still walking through. We've heard all of that. I'm going to spare you the.
That's a good friend, isn't it? Look at
Such
that.
a good friend.
I'm going to spare you.
Here comes some kind of.
Just give me something else.
I don't want to talk about Carson Wentz. I was going to spring my overtime proposal on you.
Oh
But
boy, listen to
in
this.
the first 5 minutes of the show, we were talking about it, and it's a little convoluted. So I'm going to let it go.
Okay.
It's the count up, count down, sudden death. So it's an awesome idea. But as we walk through it, the ripple effects were just a little too big for me.
Just a little too big.
Yeah. So
he'll share it with you off air.
I know.
Okay.
So listen, I know that you worked with Carson Wentz in Philly. He's a tremendous guy. I've spoken with him, and he's like Marlon Mack. You're a guy that you got to be for him. But there are some hard decisions every year. It's a business. You've got voices you got to listen to. Jim Irsay, Chris Ballard, your offensive coordinator, and Carson him as well. And I know there's always this deadline too. The calendar moves on.
Right.
So, what's your thought about how that affects you going forward? I know he's your starting quarterback, and the problem is, it's easy for people to say you got to get rid of Carson Wentz. You got to have somebody to take snaps.
No doubt.
So, what's the next step for you guys?
Well, as you said, Steve, you're exactly right. I mean, everybody gets evaluated all the time. Head coaches, quarterbacks, of course, are under the most scrutiny. So that process is still going underway. But I said it yesterday. I said it again. I believe in Carson Wentz, just like I believe in Marlon Mack. I believe Carson's going to have a lot of successful football ahead of us. That might be with us, as our starting quarterback. If it's not with us and it's with somebody else, I believe he's going to succeed. I believe there was a lot of good this last year from him. We all needed to be better. I needed to be better. Carson needed to be better in some big games. We just needed to come through and do what we all believed we had a team that should have made the playoffs, and we didn't.
Yeah,
so we got to answer to that. We got to own that, right? Every one of us, coach, quarterback, players on the team, and so and when you miss the playoffs, especially when you were expecting to be there, then that's why we're even in this moment right now.
Right.
Having to make these tough decisions.
Right. Before we let you go, Frank, we had a certain former quarterback of the Bills show up to a playoff game this past season, disrobed, shirtless, at a playoff game, even though he was a member of another team. I got to say, I'm a little disappointed we never had a Frank Reich moment like that when you were still playing for Carolina or somebody else coming back during a Bills play. Why did that not happen with you, Frank?
Just not my style. Just not my style.
Never came back, took his shirt off.
No, that's not my style.
I got to say, when I wasn't disappointed until somebody else did it. I realized you never did that.
Well, I can say this, though. I mean, and I can only say this because of the Bills' monumental success this year, and you know that I am still a huge Bills fan. But I'm pretty comfortable with how we came back into the stadium this past year.
I know, right?
Okay, there it is. Zing!
I'll tell you what.
Zing!
I'll tell you what.
You couldn't resist.
It's true.
I couldn't resist.
It's really true.
But they got
But
the Bills got the last laugh, right?
Yeah,
I mean, because they had an unbelievable season.
It's true though. That game that you were the only team to beat the Bills by double digits and really soundly thrash them.
Yeah.
And let alone build home or on the road. Every loss they had was kind of a single-digit one-score lead, and they won a lot of games by double digits. That was the one game this last year where the Bills were outmanned, outmatched. It really was.
Well, it was a weird game. I mean, there was a point in that game, how it ended. There was a point in that game where it felt like the Bills could have got back in it.
Teetered early. It was
teetered
14-7,
early. Yeah.
and then the turnovers started happening, and then it kind of got on top of it.
And I really think the weather played into our advantage. That day it was a real windy day, and we were able to run the ball, and and I think it affected the Bills' pass game just a little bit, and we had a good day. But man, do I have a ton of respect for Josh Allen. The season he had, Sean McDermott, just what a class coach and a great team.
I'll say this too: at the end of the season, when the Bills were trying to get in, the conversation was like, "Oh, who are we going to play?" And nobody in Buffalo wanted to see the Indianapolis Colts in the playoff. We do. That was the we not want to
recent
see
memory
those guys,
is hard
right?
to get rid of.
Well, maybe the Bills players wanted to play us because they
maybe, but man, the fans were like, I don't want any part of those guys.
Thanks for the time, Frank.
Great
As always,
seeing
we
you, brother.
appreciate it. Good luck getting your work done here. I know you got some big decisions to make in the next couple of weeks. Good luck with all of it.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
seeing you.
that's Indianapolis Colts head coach Frank Reich.